Yo brawlers, this is your man, Glass Chin, and you're watching Glass Chin's Boxing. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Yo brawlers, what a great domestic clash at the weekend between next-gen Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams, with Chris Eubank Jr. knocking Williams down 4 times en route to a 12-round points decision. If you see my prediction video last week, you would have seen I predicted Eubank Jr. to win on points. This was a close fight on paper, and it turned out to be on fight night as well. Eubank Jr. looked $1 million for the first 4 rounds, dropping Williams in the first, second and fourth. Williams then adjusted and came back into the fight from the 5th round onwards. They both talked a big game before the fight on the gloves were off, and they didn't disappoint. Sometimes in boxing the hate and bad blood is all pantomime to help sell the tickets, but it's obviously real here, with Eubank Jr. refusing to shake hands with Williams after the contest. During the fight, Eubank Jr. was showboating and playing up to the crowd at every opportunity. He was unable to do his ringside interview after the fight as the Welsh crowd wanted his blood and his head on a spike. In the early rounds, Eubank to me looked the best we'd ever seen him. You could see the impact Roy Jones Jr. has had on his style. For the first 4 rounds, his counter-punching and timing was on point, shades of brilliant. Going into the 5th, you'd be a brave man to bet on Williams making it to the final bell. But Williams did hang on in there and won 6 rounds on my card due to his aggression, higher work rate and punches landed. Although their faces at the end of the contest did paint a picture, with Eubank hardly scathed, and Williams' face beaten to a pulp with his eye closed shut. Even though Williams landed more, Eubank was able to ride and take the sting out of most of Williams' shots. I'm all for showboating, having some fun in there, but when you make a fighter miss, you have to make them pay, and Eubank was all too happy playing the villain and not throwing enough punches from the 5th onwards. So even with Eubank's great defence, I had to score the middle to late rounds to the aggressor, excluding the 10th and the 11th round, where I gave Eubank the 11th due to his 4th knockdown of the fight. It has been reported since that Eubank hurt his hand during the fight, and I did notice he couldn't open his own water during the post-fight press conference, asking Jones Jr. to open it for him, so it would be interesting to see what round that happened in, as his punch output got less and less, while his showboating got more over the top as the fight went on. Where does Liam Williams go from here, brawlers? It's hard to tell whether he is shop-worn as a fighter, or whether cutting weight weakened him. His chin seemed brittle every time Eubank Jr. landed in the early rounds. Maybe making 160 took it out of him. If he moves up to 168, one fight I'd really be interested in seeing would be Liam Williams versus John Ryder. That would be a proper old-school dust-up. It's unlikely if Ryder pulls off the upset win against Danny Jacobs this weekend at the Ali Pali that fight would ever happen. But should he lose, that's a natural domestic fight to make. I wouldn't mind seeing Zach Parker in with either of them too. Who do you want to see him fight next, brawlers? Let me know in the comments section. Now, brawlers. What about next gen, Chris Eubank Jr.? He seems happy to go over old ground and has been calling out Triple G again, after previously avoiding him back in 2016. Hopefully this time he'll find his pen. That fight to me has kind of lost its appeal. I think 2016 was too early for Eubank, but I wouldn't have minded seeing it after his victory over James DeGale back in 2019. Hard fight to call at this stage. Maybe Father Time has caught up to Triple G and he's ripe for the pickings. But I'd hate to see Eubank take his scalp now he's past his best. Another option is Billyjoesaunders. Saunders was quick to call out Eubank after the fight, saying he wants $5 million and the rematch is on. Personally, I'd still make Saunders the favourite in this fight. I'm assuming it would be at 168, and that would suit Saunders. Not sure how Saunders will be mentally after that horrific eye injury and being labelled a quitter, but on his best day, I think he beats Eubank Jr. on points again. Personally, if I was Eubank's team, I'd push him to go after Lara, the WBA regular champion. That's a winnable fight for Eubank. At 38, the 2-weight world champion isn't getting any younger, and he may be the only option for Eubank to win a world title. Eubank should be in his prime now, and winning a title will help him get the big fights. He looked great for 4 rounds on Saturday, and I was impressed with his adjustments since working with Roy Jones Jr. Does he have another gear, and was he just protecting his hand? He said after the fight he didn't want to knock out Williams, he wanted to punish him for his smack talk. Well, Eubank punished him alright and played his part of villain and away fighter perfect. I can see him getting some Sky pay-per-view fights soon, with many buying and tuning in just to see him get beat, using the Mayweather blueprint. What do you think, brawlers? Do you think he has another level? Do you think he can win a world title? Who should he fight next? Let me know in the comments section. Just a quick shout out to Liam Williams and his bravery before I end this video. He showed great heart hanging in there for the full 12 rounds and made the slight adjustments to show his boxing ability and make it a close fight if not for the knockdowns. I hope to see him again and I hope he gets some big fights. All the best to him. Anyway, brawlers, as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.